Being addressed by such inspiring leaders has been always a pleasure, and that has made TechFest Asia's largest technology festival. And with this, I please welcome Mr. Suresh Prabhu sir with a round of applause. I also welcome Dean sir to the stage with a round of applause, please. Now I'd like to call upon Dean sir and Aditya to present a bouquet to Mr. Suresh Prabhu sir on behalf of the whole team TechFest. Now I'd like to hand over the mic to sir. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here again. I have spoken at quite a few times in IIT, as well as spoken at some of the previous editions of TechFest. And I always like to enjoy the dynamism, the spirit which goes with IIT programs. I was just now talking to your faculty and I was telling them, my friends who are the faculty, the most respected faculty of IIT, that unfortunately I was never a good student to qualify to be in the IIT as a student. So the next best way is to come here, like the back door. I came actually from the back door. And therefore, meeting such bright minds and discuss some issues is always a very interesting idea. And TechFest is one of the most sought after event anywhere. I was surprised when my name was announced. I got so many messages from different parts saying that, oh, you're going to IIT for this program. So this is one of the very important and very look forward event. So today I've been asked to speak on a very interesting issue. I must congratulate who must have thought about a title like this. What's the title? Future of Sustainability. Isn't it very interesting?
Yes.
How do you answer that? You can say whether sustainability has a future, because when you talk about future sustainability, one can look at it whether sustainability has a future. We have to think like that. But more appropriate way of addressing that question would be whether each one of us has any future if there is no sustainability. Sustainability cannot live in isolation, an issue to be discussed. Like if you are studying computer science, you may take you take a minor in artificial intelligence, major in some other issue, and attend to a particular session, particular lecture, particular seminar, and done away with it. The sustainability is not something like that. Because for the first time, I think we 8 billion people should now be concerned about our own future. That every person has a problem with his future. Every time we think about it, oh my, I don't know whether I'll pass my IIT. If I pass, whether I will have a good campus interview, whether I'll get a good career. All that is part of a future. But this is uncertainty about a future, whether I can do better or not so good. But it's the first time 8 billion people collectively have an existential threat to themselves But more importantly, these 8 billion people together have posed the existential threat to entire biodiversity of the world. Whatever is a living being on the planet, everything is under threat. And enough science, which was always leading us to believe in this. There was an intergovernmental panel on climate change, which was set up by United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change some years ago. A scientist body. They are always telling us we are heading towards it. But now, science, there's always a disconnect normally between science and the common people. In everywhere. India has the largest number of agriculture research institute, but not necessarily every farmer is connected to that agriculture research institute. Indian Council for Agriculture Research has several very high-end research organizations. But they are connected to people. So science not necessarily is something which guides people's mind and thinking about it. Very few people who can think about science and follow it. Of course, now it's a different issue. What is science and what is the relationship with people is a different issue. But now, what IPCC, these scientists were telling us, now common people are experiencing it on the ground. This year, one of the most mightiest rivers of the world, whether it's Colorado in the US or Yangtze in the Far East, or the rivers in Europe, Danube, others, or even Tigris rivers in the Middle East, they are all going dry. In fact, the biggest ever hydroelectric project, almost about 40,000 megawatts, was built on Yangtze River. Because it was a river which used to cause so much of damage because of floods. And this was the dream of even 1949, China formed their own republic, Communist Republic. But even before that, Dr. Song, who had a dream of how China will prosper and how China will regain its past glory because China should be the largest economy, India was the second largest. They thought this is the only way we can do it. Just imagine, for hundreds of years, people have been thinking about Yangtze as a river which causes destruction because of floods. And it's the first time it is going dry. So rivers going dry, you can imagine the so-called civilizations, how it was born around the banks of the rivers. So rivers going, not only civilization will go, but that's only part of the threat that we are facing. And as I said, existential threat where the biodiversity is completely getting lost. And you must be knowing that we are also part of a biodiversity. We cannot think about biodiversity as flora and fauna, which are nothing but human beings. Human beings could never have been born as a species if there was no biodiversity. It's a byproduct of biodiversity that we are all here. So everywhere, everybody is going around is going to get extinct. Very interestingly, I was just seeing how much of that is becoming, and there are 8 million species on this planet. And how many we are? We are one species. There are 4 different kinds of human beings, but now the Homo sapiens, we are only one. And we are already 8 billion. So just imagine the power of these great human beings, that 8 billion are posing threat to 8 million. So one, not 8 billion is number, that is multiplied number. We are only one. There is no difference between you, me and him. If there is a crisis, there is something we want to give blood. Whether it's African, American or wherever he is, that's the nationalities that divide us. So 8 billion people are divided by geography or by nationality, but they are same species. And all of them are posing threats. So biodiversity is going, and with biodiversity going, one day that will go, so after some time we'll go. I remember when I was a Minister of Environment and Forest, people are asking me a very interesting question. It was a very interesting question. Why you are protecting wildlife when they attack human beings? This so-called man-animal conflict, it's a very easy answer. kill all the animals. I said, fine, that's absolutely very easy to do, and that's what we are doing anyway. The biggest Maharaja of India would be one who has killed more tigers than some other Maharaja. So in his palace will always be on display the carcasses of so many animals which have been annihilated. But when the animal goes, the tiger, for example, is the apex of the food chain. So if the tiger goes, that means the entire food chain below him is collapsed. And when that happens, we'll be gone. Because we are the cause of creation was biodiversity, and cause itself is goes. It's like we have gone on to some 32nd floor, there is no staircase, nothing, there is no lift, nothing, but there is only one ladder. And the ladder is taken away, what happens to us? So I think we are in a serious challenge. Common people are facing this. Biodiversity disappearing, that's terrestrial one. The marine biodiversity is also disappearing. And at a time when the rivers are getting dry, somewhere else there's a huge flooding. 1/3 of Pakistan was under flood. 1/3 of Pakistan was under water. I want to tell you this, you are a young bride girl, my friends. Pakistan till 1947 was part of India. So then partition happened, Pakistan became a separate country. So suppose if 1/3 of Pakistan now underwater, it had happened 75 years ago, we would say India is underwater. So this is something which is happening just next door. So if there's a fire in the adjoining building, we can, or neighbor's house, we say I'm better off. The neighbor's house is getting burnt, good, you are happy with me all the time. But neighbor's house is getting burnt, obviously, you are the next in line. So today is such a situation, and therefore sustainability is a point we coined some years ago. Very interestingly, sustainability as a concept, of course 1987, the Bundesliga report talked about it. Before that, IUCN, 1969, some of the Africans signed it. So how many years old? Either if you take 69, it is 56 years or 55 years old, 54 years. Or if you take 87, then even less than that, 35 years old. But just imagine that having lived on this planet for a few million years, we realized that need for sustainability came only about 40-50 years ago. Why? Very interestingly, and that is now proved beyond doubt, that climate change, the sustainability is not just about climate change, but climate change is one of the serious manifestations why we need sustainable way of life. All agree that now all the talk that is going on is to limit the temperature not rising beyond 1.5 degrees centigrade or not even 2 degrees centigrade, whether it depends upon the Paris Accord, or we talk about what now has been accepted recently in COP26, where we want to limit it to 1.5. But 1.5 from where? From pre-industrial revolution. Because till that time, there was a climate change happening. Climate change is not something which is happening for the first time in the world or the living planet of this, what we are seeing. There was ice age, there was some gap then again, so there are so many changes happen on the planet anyway. But now what has happened after 1900 is a change that happened because of human action. Because we thought we want to conquer the nature, so we came out industrial revolution. And after industrial revolution, what has happened very interestingly is between 1800 and 1970, that industrial revolution around that time, we have increased our population from less than 1 billion to now 8, in that period of course to about 3.6 billion, but now 8 billion. And quantity manufactured production has increased 1,730 times. So industrial revolution helped us to multiply production. We could do mass production. And that has caused what Malthusian theory was always saying, that you will not be able to grow population because the resources, limitation of resources will bring down the population. But that didn't happen. The theory, at least up to now, is not proved to be right. Only because of so-called technology we could create much, much more. But what it meant, it only hastened the process of we heading towards our eventual extinction than what would happen otherwise. So if king has pronounced a death sentence and suddenly something happened in that family, so it is postponed. So that doesn't mean that the death sentence is not there, it was there, but the time frame changed. So in this particular period, we could expand, we could increase the time because the so-called technology, which again is the root cause of the problem. So my friend, today the future of sustainability is not an issue. The issue of our own future, which probably we can save, we can still live longer if we have a sustainable lifestyle. And what is that we need to do for that? First and foremost, the thought has to change. Incidentally, there is another interesting thing I want to just share with you. There is a theory called modernization theory, which is popularized by some Western thought. And what it says, it can be modernized, the so-called poor people, backward people living in developing countries, their salvation can happen only through very simple formula that how the Western world has developed.